Get into part 2 of this project. One little thing that was left out of part 1 was on the actual animal face layer. So I'm talking about this layer here. If you unlock it for a moment, there is one other filter that you can do to it, or adjustment I should say, and that's at the top of your screen. If you go to Image, Adjustments, and down to Posterize, you can see it breaks up the face. Right now I have it set to level 4. You can go lower than that. You can try like 3 or even 2. And you see what it did is it kind of broke down the areas that are most dark. And you can hit OK. And you can lock it back up. And it works the same way. You still keep a layer right on top and you still start to draw. The only thing is now when you look at this, it's kind of giving you that black area so that you could use your lasso tool and select larger portions like this, for example, if you want. So it's just another little added thing to kind of help you through, and then you use your paint bucket like we said before and you begin to fill it in. Okay, so as you continue to work through this project, your hope, what you're trying to achieve, just as a reminder, is this sort of a look, right, where we're going to be creating the stencil and then inside the stencil placing letters. So the first part of your project really is going to be something that looks like this, where you're going to have basically a stencil of your animal. And then after that, then like what I just showed you, you're going to be putting words within that stencil. So something similar to this, let's say. All right, or even like this. This is what's going to end up happening with what you've done. Or even this. Okay? So that's where we're headed with this project. So in part 2 now, I have one that's a little bit further along. Looks like this. I'm just going to get rid of a few things here so we don't get too confused. So here's what mine looked like as I was pretty much done with the stencil. What you can do is hide the middle layer so that you can see your stencil all by itself. Once you've done that, all you need to do now is zoom in and pick a piece to begin. So I'm going to use this piece in the middle of the head right here. So your first step now to start adding words inside this portion, remember you're only adding words inside the black areas, is you're going to go over to the toolbar and select by right-clicking on the letter T, the horizontal type tool. Once you've clicked that, you're going to go up to the top of your screen and you'll see that you have the text tool selected. Next to that, you will see that you have your font style or typeface. So for this project, you want to pick something that's nice and thick, like an Arial black, or I have some other fonts in here that you might not have on yours, but you want something thick. Something like this, where it's a script, or something very simple like this this one here. You know, it's going to be too thin. So you want one that's thick. So again, I'm going to go to Arial black. That's fine. I'm going to keep it at regular. That's fine. Right here is the size option. Now, if I click the little arrow, you'll see that you can go all the way up to 72, but you can also type in numbers that are larger. For our purposes in this project, we want to start at about a 14 or 16. All right, I'll keep it at 16. Then here you have your anti-aliasing, which is just an option for you in terms of the edges of the letter really and keeping them sharp, crisp, strong, smooth. You can put them at sharp and that's totally fine. And then, well, I'm going to keep mine here. This is left justified, centered, or right justified. I'm going to keep it centered. And the color is important too. We want to pick a color that can show up on top of the black. So I'm going to click on the text color here. Once that comes up, it's going to give me a choice about color with my color picker here. What I want to do is I want to go in and I want to pick a color I can see. So for today's purposes, I'm going to pick like a nice yellowish color, okay? So I'm going to click it. Click OK. All right, so now I'm ready. I have this little section I want to put words into, right? All I do is I take that tool, that text tool, I click one time. As soon as I click, you will see that it pops up saying lorem ipsum. This is a fake language that's made up as a placeholder until you type in what you want. So we're going to type in words that relate to our animal. So in this case, I'm going to just hit delete and type in the word tall. All right, perfect. I typed in the word tall. Now, if I highlight this, I can go up to the top of my screen and open up the character panel, which you see here. Just as an example, if you don't see it, I'm going to close mine. All you have to do is go to Window at the top and down to the word character. And it pops up. So this gives you everything that you need to know about your text. Here is the font style, right? And then the styles set, sometimes it's regular, italicized, bold. Next to that, you got the size. We had set it at 16 before. This is your leading, which is your space between lines. Right now we only have one line, so we don't need to change the spacing between the lines. This is your kerning. This is the space between individual letters, any two letters. So like if I click this one and I pull, you don't really see a difference in this, right? Because you would have to select two letters in order to see a difference when you pull this thing, all right? As you change it. Well, that one's not letting me at this point. Okay, this one though will be the spacing between the letters. We'll go over all this in class. This is the height of the letter, so you can stretch the letters out, but you got to select the ones you want to stretch first. So you'd have to select all of them if you want all of them to stretch, as an example. Okay, it shows you the color, and also down here I have selected all caps, so it comes up as all caps. I think all caps works well for this project. Now, once you type in your word, I'm going to move this character panel out of the way for a moment, and I'm going to zoom in quite a bit. Hold on. Sorry. So I click, I type in tall, same as before. So here are the steps once you type in your word. All you need to do is click the checkbox at the top of your screen, or hit enter on your keyboard. Then go over to the layer. You see it comes up as its own layer with the letter T, and it tells you what is written on that layer. You right click, you select rasterize type. Okay, once you've done that, your job now is to try to make this tall word fit inside of this shape, but not touch the white. So, you've used this tool many times before in previous projects. You're going to go to edit. You're going to go to free transform or command T on your keyboard or Windows key T on a PC. You get the box that pops up. Now from here there's lots of options for you. You can click inside this box and move this wherever you'd like. You can also click from the corner and stretch it out. You notice that it is stretching it proportionally, and that is because at the very top here I have my link between the width and the height clicked already. So I can make it bigger or smaller from the corner. What else can I do? I can go past the corner, zoom in a little bit. I can go past the corner here, click, and I can rotate in any direction that I like. All right. This little dot in the center, by the way, is like your axis point. So if I click on this and I actually move this point, let's say over here, and now I try to rotate it, it rotates from that point. So that could be a helpful piece too. All right, so what else can you do if you right-click inside this box? We already talked about scaling, which was making it bigger or smaller. We already talked about rotating it. You can skew it, watch, click and pull, right? If you hold down Option with these, you get different options where it moves both sides at the same time. There's lots of things you can do there. How about, let's right-click again. Distort. You can individually move just certain points, right? Right-click again. Perspective makes it look like it's going away or coming at you kind of thing. So you can play with those as well. Right-click one more time. Now the most powerful one is the one that says warp. And you'll see a grid gets placed over it. Once this grid is on top of it, you can move any of these points wherever you would like. In between these points, you'll notice there's little handlebars with like little sticks basically connected to those points. If you click on those, you can adjust those as well. You can even click and drag within these boxes like this and move the word around. So what I would do for something like this is I would pull the points almost to the edge, pull the little handlebars so that they kind of match up, and try to make my word fit as nicely as I can within the black area. Now it doesn't have to fit every piece of it, like even this that I've done so far would be fine. In fact, if you stretch it too much, you end up with a very blurry kind of a look, okay? So what you want to start to do from here is you're just going to hit the checkbox to OK it, checkbox to OK, and then you're going to continue those same steps over and over and over. So you're going to click and you're going to type in the next word. After you've done that, you're going to hit the checkbox up top, right click on the layer, rasterize type, and then back up to edit and free transform. Command T or Windows key T on a PC. Then you take it, you move it, you can rotate it, right? Resize it, right click. And you can go right to warp, or you could try some of the other ones. I like the warp one because it truly is the most powerful one that's in there. And you start to adjust those little pieces. Now, once you get good at this and you practice a little bit, you'll be doing it faster, nice and quickly. So there's 2 pieces, and I hit OK. So you'll see already I've almost completely filled up this entire black space, but I have to continue. So if you find that there are letters or words that you've used that you want to use again, there's no reason you can't take the Move tool, go to the layer, like here I'm on the tall layer, hold Option on your keyboard or Alt on a PC, click and drag, get another copy of the exact same word, do Command T, edit, free transform on that one, resize it, rotate it, move it wherever you'd like, right click, warp it, and then start to just adjust it again. So once you use one once doesn't mean you can't use it again. You're welcome to do that. But again, don't stretch it out too much. And just continue going until you fill up those black areas. So what happens is you're going to get something that looks like this as you're working. So you see here in this example, I've filled in a lot of these areas already. And then, in order to check your progress, all you have to do is hide the stencil layer by clicking the little eyeball icon next to it. And now you can see how much you've accomplished. So this is the basic idea of the project. The more black that you fill in with the words, the better off that you'll be. One more little option for you. I'm just going to show you in this area here as just the last piece. So I'm going to do the exact same steps. I'm going to go to my text tool. Make sure I have Arial black, regular, 16 size, yellow color. I'm going to click. Now I'm going to type in Safari. Okay. Then I'm going to hit the checkbox. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to rasterize. Now all those steps were the same as before. I go to edit, free transform. This time when I right click and I select warp, you get that grid again, right? But at the very top of your screen here, you will see that there are some warp options with this little arrow. And there's some preset options for you. So for example, if you go to arc, it arcs the words. And it gives you a little nice little handy kind of dot at the top here where you can adjust it. Now you're not stuck with this, but let's say you like it like that. Okay, so I hit the checkbox, I OK it, looks pretty good. I'll do Command T again, I'll move it, I'll rotate it, maybe resize it a little bit. And you could use that. I could take it with the Move tool, hold Option, copy it again. Command T, resize it a little bit, move it, rotate it. These are all options for you. Now I could still, let's say I make one more, Command T, resize, rotate, pull into like right there, right? I can still right click, hit warp, and still adjust it. It's just that, you know, the more you adjust, the blurrier things become. So you don't want to overdo it, because you can see even here in this letter, it starts to look a little fuzzy, a little blurry, and the rest of them look pretty clean. So you're going to continue that process until you've filled up all of the black area. As you're working, if you find that there's little areas, for example, this one right here, where you think, oh gosh, how am I going to fit this, you know, how am I going to fit letters in this? You just have to make them small. But if you want to get rid of something, just go back to the stencil layer, take your lasso tool, select the piece you want to get rid of, and just hit delete. And this way you don't have to worry about that particular piece, okay? And that's basically it. When you are done with the project, what's going to happen is we are going to put some color in the background and just kind of help you finish it up. But you'll call me over at that point and we'll work on finishing it and putting your label on it when we are done.